Removed mirror. I think it was when I was in the 5th grade. We had an old vanity at home. It had a mirror on both sides of the door when you opened it. It was in my parents' room on the 2nd floor. However, the mirror on the left side of the 3-panel mirror had been removed and was not attached. When I asked the mother about it, she told me that it had been removed because it looked too creepy, but she wouldn't give me any details. She told me strongly, "I'm throwing it away, so don't worry about it." I had no choice but to give up further pursuing the matter. One evening I was exploring the shed and happened to find a mirror that had been removed. I naturally decided to try to install it. I looked into it and shook it, but it was just a plain mirror, so I didn't like it. My mother was in the living room on the 1st floor, so I went up the stairs to her parents' room to avoid being recognized. The desired 3-faced mirror was still closed in a corner of the room. I opened it, but nothing happened. No wonder. My mother uses it every day without any problem. I quickly decided to install the mirror on the left side of the door. Was it removed by force? The metal fitting seemed to be stupid, and the mirror did not fit easily. I looked around the room and found some duct tape on a shelf, so I roughly stuck the mirror on the shelf and somehow completed the job. Thanks to my hard work, the 3-faced mirror was restored to its original appearance. I sat down on a chair and looked into the mirror. First, the front. Nothing happens. Of course, I can see the left and right mirrors, but there is nothing wrong with either of them. I just see my face, a little nervous and dumb. It is a disappointment. So, I decided to look at the mirror on the left side of the room. I shifted my position to the left and looked into the mirror for a few minutes. Nothing happened. What's so creepy about it? It's nothing. My childish curiosity was betrayed, and I was about to get up out of my chair to complain to my mother. At that moment, the mirror on my left side tilted. I panicked and held the mirror with both hands. Was it a bad idea to forcefully attach it with duct tape? Having rescued the mirror, which had come off the door and was about to slide off, just before it fell, I sat back down in my chair. I was going to complain to my mother after recovering the 3-faced mirror again. Huh? I noticed a change in the mirror. It's fogged up. The mirror, which had been reflecting my image perfectly until a moment ago, was now cloudy white and only vaguely reflected my image. My heart thumped violently. I had a bad feeling. Somehow, even the air in the room seemed to have changed. It was as if it was tense and peppy. Unable to bear the sense of fear that welled up inside me, I tried to flee the room. I wanted to throw the mirror out of the room. I thought, and almost sat up from my chair. At that moment, I felt a tap on my right shoulder from behind. I felt a hand on my shoulder. Why from behind? It's the mirror on my right. The unexpected event naturally relaxed my body. I sat down on the chair again. The mirror was still in my hands, not ready to be thrown away. The feel of a hand still firmly placed on my shoulder. A light, pressing weight. I removed my gaze from the mirror on my wobbly knees and fearfully shifted my gaze to my right shoulder. White, thin fingers, red, long nails, a woman's right hand with blue veins on the back is clutching my shoulder. Whoa! I screamed and tried to run away again. But I couldn't move, as if my body was frozen. Perhaps I couldn't even actually let out a scream. But the woman's hand, as if sensing this, put a goog of strength into it. The woman's fingertips digged painfully into my shoulder. I involuntarily turned around. Somehow I was able to move my body. Was it the pain that stimulated and restored the nerves paralyzed by fear? I turned around. I saw something impossible. A woman's arm is growing out of the mirror. That's what I thought the moment I saw it. In contrast to the left mirror, the right mirror on the right side of the 3-faced mirror had a murky black surface. From the edges of the mirror toward the center, countless translucent roots-like objects were emerging. and an abnormally white and slender arm extending from the center of the mirror. Is it because the fingertips of the woman's hand grasping my right shoulder and her red-painted fingernails remind me of flower petals? The long, slender arm looked like a stem to my eyes. It was like a pale plant growing out of the darkness. Wow! I let out a scream that echoed through my body and ran out of the room and down the stairs. At first, I went to where people were. I wanted to go to the living room on the first floor where my mother was. I was running down the stairs at an unusual speed, and my legs would occasionally get tangled. But I couldn't stop. Finally, I reached the first floor by tumbling down. I don't have the mirror in my hand anymore. I probably threw it on the floor when I ran away from that room. I didn't hear it break, so I don't think I threw it at him. There is a straight corridor leading from the stairs to the living room and beyond to the front door. From my current perspective, the living room is on the left side of the corridor, the front door is in front, and the right side is a wall with a large window in the middle. The light shining through the window was already reddish, and the darkness was just about to arrive. I looked to the front and saw that his mother had come out to the hallway with an anxious look on her face, as if she had heard his earlier scream. For a moment I felt relief, but it quickly turned to anger. Yes, why did I have to go through this? Migi. You should take off the mirror on the right. You idiot. I wanted to say, but the back of my throat was too dry to speak. I stared at my mother's face, frustrated that I couldn't say anything. But she wouldn't meet my gaze. She said, "What's the matter with you? Ignore me." I looked at her closely and noticed that her eyes were fixed on my right shoulder. My right shoulder? No way. I thought. No, it can't be. This is the first floor. I've been trying so hard to escape from my parents' room on the second floor. That's why. There can't be any hands. I slowly looked down at my right shoulder in anticipation. But my hopes were dashed. There was a pale woman's right hand firmly gripping my shoulder, just as before. I twisted my body involuntarily and looked at the stairs I had run down and was astonished. The woman's arm extended all the way from the end of the staircase, from the second floor. Perhaps all the way from that mirror. Why? I was about to lose my mind. But I made a last stand with my will. With my left hand, I grabbed the back of the woman's right hand. The coldness of her hand made me feel a chill, but I didn't care. I just tried to pull her hand away from my body. I wonder if it was because she noticed that I was trying to pull her hand away. The woman's hand tightened its grip on my shoulder again. The next moment, the woman's hand pulled my shoulder with tremendous force. I lost my balance due to the unexpected event and fell down in the corridor, clinging to the woman's hand. Even so, the woman's hand did not come off my shoulder and gradually dragged my body toward the stairs. No. My mind was blackened by an emotion for the first time in my life. It was not fear, but despair. I knew I was going to be dragged upstairs and pulled into that three-sided mirror. Suddenly, above my head, I heard a voice from slightly behind me. "Wait for me. I'll help you right away." It was my mother's voice. Before I knew it, my mother had come very close to me. She smiled kindly at me for a moment, and without hesitation, left my side and ran as fast as she could toward the stairs. They must have decided that it was impossible to remove the woman's hand from my shoulder. I ran up the stairs to scrape by the side of the woman's arm that was extending upstairs. I thought she was going to do something about that mirror, the source of my torment. "I'm sorry." I apologized as best I could to my mother, who had gone upstairs to save me, even at her own peril. I'm sorry. My tear-stained vision already did not reflect my mother's image. Still, I just kept apologizing. At that moment, there was a loud crash. I heard a violent sound. Then, thud. Then, A sound like something heavy falling from upstairs came from outside the window in the hallway. What the? I noticed that the feeling on my right shoulder had disappeared. I rushed to look and found that the woman's right hand had vanished cleanly. Thank you. I thanked my mother with an honest heart. I am sure that my mother must have broken that three-sided mirror somehow. Then I threw the three-sided mirror out the window. As a young child, I was convinced that the sound I heard was the sound of the three-sided mirror falling. Without waiting for my mother to come downstairs, I approached the large window in the hallway. Just above this window was the window of my parents' room. If the object had fallen from the window of the room where the three-pane mirror was located, I would have been able to see it clearly when I opened the window in this hallway. Relief awakened the boy's curiosity that had been sleeping in the back of his mind. Feeling like a victor who had overcome many obstacles and vanquished his enemies, I vigorously opened the corridor window. What I found there was a mother lying in a pool of blood with shards of glass sticking out all over her body. On her ankle, there was a mark where the woman's left hand had clenched tightly. This concludes this story. Thank you for listening to the end.